Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity.
Your mic?
Yeah. We're just going to come into the presence of this room and we're going to do some chanting to call in our presence here. We know that Spirit's always available to us, but it's at times like these when we leave the world outside these doors, we gift ourselves with this time to remember our true essence with Spirit and getting connected with that energy that divinely guides every aspect of our lives. Before we do get started, I want to just make one little announcement. If you know people with children, we next week during the second service have a really, really beautiful opportunity for the kids down in the Sunday school to do some games and stuff. But then at the completion of the service, the kids will be brought up here and we're going to have Santa Claus read a story and gifts to them. And they don't have to be children that are from our church. We want all children to be invited to be a part of the magical aspect of it. And also for us older people that forget about the magic of Christmas, we get to witness this moment too with the children. We're not going to shove them downstairs where we don't see it. We want them to be a part of the service too. So if you know anyone that would like to be a part of a spiritual story that connects St. Nicholas and Christ, it's an incredible story, please invite them to join us. All right, so we're going to get comfortable and get our backs straight.
Breathe
Before we begin, I once again will ask for a couple of volunteers to come up and help Nora clear the altar for the next service. You want to heal our planet. Listen carefully. These excerpts are from the Apostle Paul's letter to his people. Can we have this first PowerPoint, please? Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For our knowledge is imperfect, and our prophecy is imperfect. But when the perfect comes, the imperfect will pass away. So faith, hope, love abide, these three. But the greatest of these is love. This from Paul of Tarsus, who opposed the teachings of Christ violently, now speaking on behalf of those teachings. And like all the masters that have preceded us on the path to awakening, he is espousing the supremacy of love over all things. And so, in espousing the supremacy of love, as all the masters do, we are on that path to awakening to the ultimate power in all the universe, which is love. And love has many definitions and exists on many levels, but the love of which we are speaking is a universal mystical state of awareness. That is the true destiny of everyone who would master life. It is universal love, all-inclusive love, selfless love, the ability to see in any situation, any condition, any experience, what is absolutely needed. And that is the enlightened state of consciousness that we are called to enter. Until we enter that state of consciousness, we have no real life. We have only an existence based upon a false definition of life, which has us being tossed to and fro by every changing circumstance and condition. And that is why we must make a focused effort to transcend the illusionary state of consciousness. The love of which we speak, the love that the masters are calling us to, is a life-transforming state of consciousness. And while we still may operate in the physical body, we no longer operate in the limited definition that I am strictly a physical body. I'm a self-centered, separate body-mind whose self-interests must precede me in all that I endeavor to do. That is a state of consciousness that holds the world in peril. It is a state of consciousness that lives without true conscience, true insight, true understanding. There is no awareness in that state of consciousness. There is only conflict. There is only fighting, and there is only suffering and pain that comes about because of it. The test of this true state of consciousness is found in the experience of people who are willing to put this truth to test in their lives. And in doing so, they will discover the foundation of all spiritual truth, which is that God is love. God is love. And everything that has been created by God has that calling within itself to enter into the Father's state of awareness. And while most of us have lived a long time in denial of that, ultimately we will either find that or we will not find true life. We will not find what it means to live effectively. In the body, out of the body, beyond the body, doesn't matter. It is the mind that must come to terms with what it means, true life. And that's what we are about doing. So if God is love, and God is also defined as being omnipresent, that means everywhere present. It means that love also must be everywhere available. That we can access love under any circumstances or conditions. And to do so would be to enter into the healing that love brings about under all circumstances and conditions. But we are talking about that calling of true love that brings us into true life. This, by the way, is the state of consciousness that life is attempting to awaken us to behold. In other words, how long will you go limping along in the conditions and terrors of the world? The fears that human beings propagate in themselves, create in those people around them, go on concerned and worried over and over again without having an inkling of understanding how to live effectively. How long can we do that? How long will you look at the world and the conditions and the hatred and the disease and the fear and the war of the world? How long will you do that? How long will you look at the 6 o'clock news and listen to the insanity that comes across to all human beings on this planet? How long will you listen to that and not really take issue with it and start to move effectively in your spiritual practice to become enlightened? From the highest level of awareness, where the masters exist, from that level to pursue love from the self-centered, personal perspective that is the original illusionary thought system, to pursue love, fulfillment from that limited consciousness is, in fact, to be sick, insane. They use those words. You are sick, you are insane, you will remain insane until you decide you don't want to live in insanity anymore. So A Course in Miracles will speak to this very clearly and very plainly. Can we have this, please, this next PowerPoint? You can read this in the old Course in Miracles text, page 203, paragraph 1, or in the new edition on page 218. Miracles are merely the translation of denial into truth. You may not understand that first sentence, but everyone who is not living in the spiritual practice, you see, is in denial of the reality that we are all interconnected. We are all part of one ongoing level of consciousness. And in understanding that, it draws us to be awake in dealing with everything we deal with in our lives. So to have miracles, miracles are merely the translation of that denial of oneness, that terrible denial of oneness, into truth. If to love oneself is to heal oneself, those who are sick do not love themselves. Therefore, they are asking for the love that would heal them, but which they are denying to themselves. If they knew the truth about themselves, they could not be sick. The task of the miracle worker thus becomes to deny the denial of truth. The sick must heal themselves, for the truth is in them. Yet having obscured it, the light in another mind must shine into theirs, because that light is theirs. The light in them shines as brightly, regardless of the density of the fog that obscures it. If you give no power to the fog to obscure the light, it has none. For it has power only if the Son of God gives power to it. And when that statement is used, the Son of God, it includes every single one of us. It includes everyone on the planet. Every living person is part of the one sonship of God who is love, and says, why are you living in denial of your nature? Why do you continue to live in the illusion propagated by insane beings? He must withdraw the power of denial, remembering that all power is of God. So, we have many, many teachers who have been working diligently from higher levels of awareness to bring us into the true nature of life, which is our core nature. Now, I know that our Western culture has attempted to beguile us into believing that it is from the brain, conditioned and trained by the world, that we will bring about the technology we need to heal our planet, that we will bring about the technology we need to make ourselves happy. Really, the only thing the brain, conditioned by the world, is doing is bringing us to more and more and more distraction. Yes, you can be distracted over and over and continually distracted by more and more gadgets and widgets. And that is all that is taking place. Does that bring you happiness? Does that make you feel the joy and the love and the beauty and the majesty of being alive in the miracle of life itself? No, you're distracted. You're on a cell phone, you're on a computer, you're doing more and more and more to gain that from the world which you believe is finally going to make you comfortable. Let me say this to you. You can never be comfortable as long as you realize the only thing that technology is saying to you, I can distract you over and over again from knowing that you're going to die. And if you die in your ignorance, that is the problem that you have embraced from the beginning. To come to life means to take seriously the truth that life, try to get a hold of this. If you don't get anything else, wrap yourself into this. Just take this moment right here. Right here. This is an outstanding miracle. Life is a miracle. Every moment of it is a miracle. To take it for granted, to be in denial that it is a miracle that is worthy of being blessed and nurtured and embraced, is madness. It's total madness. Selfishness beyond anything anyone could even imagine. Life is a miracle in every moment. Awakening to that and living from that will bring you into your calling. If it is that you still think something else will come along and bring you there, maybe you think maybe going to Tibet and finding your guru who will lay his hands on you and bring you into life. Maybe you're still planning that to happen. Maybe you're raising money to do it. I don't know. You have everything you need right now within you, calling you, waiting for you to come to life, true life. So let's take a look at the second part of the Course in Miracles quote, please. Perceive in sickness but another call for love, and offer your brother and sister what he believes he cannot offer himself. Whatever the sickness, there is but one remedy. You will be made whole as you make whole. For to perceive in sickness the appeal for health is to recognize in hatred the call for love. And to give a brother or sister what he or she really wants is to offer it unto yourself. For your Father wills you to know your brother and sister as yourself. Answer his call for love, and yours is answered. Healing is the love of Christ for his Father and for himself. And Christ is your indwelling true self. A Course in Miracles couldn't be plainer. I said in my email on Friday that I could state in one sentence, and have stated in one sentence, many, many, many times throughout my classes and my services that I give, the healing for every human being. I could state it in one sentence. And that sentence would be this: it is in giving in this way that you will receive all you have ever sought for your life. And the rest of it, when Paul speaks about prophecies are imperfect, knowledge is imperfect, technology is imperfect, channels are imperfect, middlemen, middlewomen, counselors are all imperfect, ministers included, all imperfect. Only your allegiance to the true self within you, which calls you gently, still small voice speaking, calls you gently to look past yourself and see your reality in everything that lives, and be available to bless it, nurture it, care for it, and love it. So Eckhart Tolle gives us some insight here. Whenever you do look upon a person and you are moved deeply to feel love for that person, don't just let it pass you by. Close your eyes. Just close your eyes and feel the connection of love you have with that person. And it may be your mother, it may be a friend, it may be your partner, it may be a total stranger. When you feel that moment, and sometimes it comes out of compassion, sometimes you'll see a homeless person, and you'll look upon that soul. And all the technology that has taken you away through the many years of your life from feeling would rise. You have feeling again, a moment of feeling for another person. Allow that moment to be expanded. Close your eyes and feel the connection, that because that which you are feeling is God speaking. This is me, God is saying. This is you, God is saying. That is what love is saying and what God is saying. I have used this technique for years and years and years. I have shared it for years and years and years. I've had many, many, many countless people, many of them even who weren't particularly fond of me, who have turned to care for me and love me because I cared for them. I still love them. On the road to my home, there's construction taking place, and they have only one lane in this two-lane road that's open. And so they have to have people stationed throughout this road with signs that say stop and then go, because they have to hold up the traffic on one end to allow the cars to come from the other end up, and then they have to stop and turn and let the other cars come down through. And possibly the most thankless job in the world is holding that sign through all kinds of weather. You cannot play a radio because you have a walkie-talkie you have to hear when they're telling you now you can release those people, those cars. And that's all you can do. You can't get on your cell phone. You've got to be alert there every moment, standing still with a sign in all kinds of weather. And there's one, it's easy to feel compassion for these people. But there's one elderly gentleman there. He's part of the construction crew, but you know what they do? They always hand him the sign and put him out on the road. And whenever I pass by, specifically with him, I send love to all these people, but when I pass by him, I see him standing there and he's banging his feet or kicking his toes on the ground because he's cold. And sometimes it's in the rain. It's in the rain. But I make it part of my practice to feel love for him. And this has been going on for months, but after about 2 or 3 weeks of doing this, he now specifically waves to me as I go by or when I'm stopped there. He gives me a special wave just because I never said a word to him, because he knows we are in that same wavelength of love. He loves me now. And I've done this over the years and seen this happen. I said even with abject enemies. I want to get to something else so that I want to make this the fullest of days for all of us. The fullest of days for all of us is we are going to grow out of taking anything for granted. We're going to grow up enough to say, I don't have to take anything for granted anymore. And the way to do this is to realize even the inanimate objects that help us through life every day are worthy of our consideration, our care, and our blessing. That pen that you use to write whatever it is you do, that jacket you wear that keeps you warm, that computer you use, or that iPad, or that washing machine, or any number of things that you use to have more comfort in life. Don't take it for granted. Don't just pass it by. Every now and then, stop and feel gratitude for it. It is also part of life. Feel gratitude for it. So I'm getting the chime here. She says, we're running out of time. Can't actually happen. Let me conclude with this. Two things. Practice not taking anyone for granted. And practice loving yourself. And surrender the foibles, the inconsistencies, and the intrusions of life. The foibles, the inconsistencies, the intrusions, however they come into your experience, bless them. Give thanks for them. Honor them. And flow with them. And you will come to the life you have always wanted, free of all fear, all suffering, and all doubt. So let us take a few moments for meditation, allowing these Tibetan bowls to move us to be present, right here, feeling okay. If you don't get anything else or you don't have a meditation technique, use this idea. I'm here now, honest in God, and okay just as I am. I am here now, honest in God, and okay just as I am. as we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space, let us be aware that we go forth into the world and that this ministry, this church center, this organization must survive in the world. This is not in relationship to many of you, but to some. Your tithes of late have been insufficient. And so take it to heart what it means to give fairly. There is no mother church that supports what goes on here in Unity of Boulder. We do not have benefactors who shower us with money. We have devoted people who give their gifts regularly, and without them we would have folded this place up a long time ago. But if you've been giving that $1 or $2 or even $5 and then going out to Starbucks and having a $6 coffee, there's something missing in your understanding about spiritual truth. Having let you know that, let us go forth with the love of giving. And to this, we will add this offering. Come on down. As we take our offerings in our hands, let's bless them with this offering statement. Divine love is my true life and my conscious destiny. Therefore, I give. Together, please. Divine love is my true life and my conscious destiny. Therefore, I give.